Hey, Longhorn, baby.
Are we closing fast now? Yeah.
Contract signed, money wise. Let's go.
Woke up feeling like a boss today. They said, boy, you know we got you, gone and do your thing.
Welcome to our next edition of the Longhorn Way. And I'm always excited to do the podcast. I love doing the podcast. But I'm really excited. This is my first borrower that I've had on the podcast. His name is Orlando Askins, and he lives in California, but he does business, at least he does business with me, in St. Louis. Orlando, go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us if I got where you live right. Tell us where you live. Are you married, kids? Give us a little background on Orlando Askins.
Well, I think you kind of gave a great introduction to it. I'm Orlando Askins, born and raised in L.A., 3 kids, married, been doing real estate since about 1990, 91.
Well, hold on. You jumped on me. All right. Orlando Askins, born and raised in L.A. Did you go to college? Do you have a sports team you like? I'm just, going
to give you all that, man. So my educational journey is a little different. Bypassed college out of high school, took a couple of courses, but
straight
really
to the pros. Straight to the pros.
Straight to the pros. Kobe. I did a Kobe, right? Which obviously tells you my team. but just bypassed high school and kind of just got right into it. Wanted to try and get into the business world, business side of generating income, making money right away. Did that. And then, so I graduated high school around 85, and then I got into real estate around 90, 91. Was introduced to real estate from doing appraisals initially.
So you, wait. So you started off, you were an appraiser?
Yes. Started off as an appraiser. Now, mind you, at this time, Michael, you didn't have to be necessarily licensed.
That's what I was about to ask. So you were not a licensed appraiser. You worked for an appraiser? You were like an apprentice, or?
I started off as an apprentice.
Okay.
And very short-lived, though. I mean, we're talking 6 months.
So very short-lived as an apprentice, or very short?
As an apprentice.
Okay.
As an apprentice. And I, got my feet wet and understood the business relatively quickly. And I had a ace up my sleeve. I had a friend of mine who was a year or two older than me, whose father had been in real estate in L.A. forever. So needless to say, he was into real estate, and he offered me I didn't have to search for a client. He was my only client. And he would give me 20, 25 appraisals a month. So I immediately went and started doing appraisals on my own.
Well, hold on. So if he's giving you appraisals, was he a lender? Were you doing?
He was a lender.
He was a lender. Excellent. Okay.
He was a lender. So he had his own. Well, he was a broker. He had his own mortgage company.
Okay.
And he was a broker. So he was giving me all of these deals in L.A., and I was doing quite well, to be frank with you. And again, this is around 90, 91. You didn't have to be licensed.
All right. Well, hold on. Let's talk about that, because I have some questions here. I need to unpack some things here, Orlando.
Sure.
If you're an appraiser back in 90, 91, and you're doing 25 appraisals a month, let's say, ballparkish, are we using a computer?
We are using it. Man, this is when those thick laptops were out, man.
Oh, you had a laptop. I'm impressed you had a laptop.
Yeah, what was it called? Compact?
Yeah.
I think Compact. So I had, and what's the guy in Texas?
Dell. Michael Dell.
Dell. So I had a Compact first, and use that, and then I got a Dell eventually. So everything was being done on my laptop.
And so you had a software program that you used for your comps?
Yep. So now comps, we used to use a book called CMDC, I believe it was called.
Now, a book, do you actually mean a book?
That thick, Michael, and it came out every month. And it had all the data that we get online was in this book. And you had to have a subscription to it. It was barbaric, man. I mean, it was like you have to get this book and go through that to find your comps.
So you were basically getting a phone book delivered to you once a month with the comps or the sales, right, of properties that happened in state of California, specific county, specific, where was this?
Exactly what you just said. So you would subscribe based on where you did the majority of your work.
Okay.
So I would get LA County, which was probably 85% of my business at the time, or his business, right? And then I would get Orange County. And you get these books every month. You know, I may have one still in my office over here. If I could dig that thing up, as we take a break, see if I can find one. But you would get that, and you would travel with you in your car while you're out doing the appraisal. Then you're going to go through that thing and look for something that's similar in the area. Thomas Guide map books were critical. You needed that because all the comps were mapped out by the Thomas Guide map page.
So California, you had Thomas Guide. Did you guys have MapsCo, or did you not?
No, Thomas Guide.
So MapsCo is what we used in Texas, which sounds like the Thomas Guides, because I'm not familiar with Thomas Guides, but it was basically the city was charted up, page by page, and it was graphs like A, B, C, D, and you had to find it on the chart. It's an A13, and then you had to flip to the book and go to A13, and then you had to work your way back to how to get there.
Same thing.
Okay.
Same thing. Amazing. We actually had to work back then, Mike.
Yeah, I know.
We actually had to work. So same deal. And, so you map out. So some days you can map out where you're going to go in advance. And then other times you may get there and the house just doesn't match with what you just appraised. So now you got to kind of go and find some other ones while you're out there in the field. We used actual film on the cameras.
Oh, my gosh.
You take the picture, then you got to send it off to the 1 hour.
You went to the little yellow Kodak stand and dropped it off and had them develop film?
Pick it up in about 2 hours with the next day. Man, we thought we were balling when this program came out. It was called Total, was the appraisal program. So some of your listeners may be able to, remember that, but it was called Total. That was the appraisal software. And then the digital camera came out. Oh my God. Where you can take the picture with the digital camera and download it into the actual appraisal report.
Dude, you were ahead of your time. This is very modern stuff you were doing.
It was crazy, man. So that's how I got started in real estate, was doing the appraisal side, right?
Wow.
So it really honestly helped me a great deal as I transitioned, because I understood value, understood neighborhoods, understood external factors that will impact value, understood functional utility of a home as opposed to, hey, there's 5 bedrooms with 1 bath, just things like that, right? So the appraising side really helped me a lot. So then, honestly, what prompted me to move into the lending side, which I went to prior to getting to the rehab side, was I just one day did the math. Michael, I looked at my friend
and that's it. I wanted to ask you real quick before you got there, because I know where you're going with this, obviously.
Yeah.
But how much did you charge for an appraisal back then?
Right. So typically it was like $250 to $300 for an appraisal. But he was giving me so much work, I was charging him, I get maybe $225 per appraisal for a single family and maybe $250 for multiple use. You also didn't have to have a license, Michael, to do commercial. You didn't have to have a license to do commercial.
Well, now, in fairness, right? What do these guys do to get licenses now? Really, it's just a barrier to entry, right?
Yeah, it is, and experience. You got
experience.
Now, I think you're required to work as an apprentice now. I want to say minimum 2 years now.
I think in Texas it's 2 years to be an apprentice, and look, that's going to be a problem because I don't think people are going to want to apprentice for 2 years and make $500 or $450 an appraisal, right? So you were making $225 30 years ago. Or 35 years ago. Is that right? 35 years ago. And now they're only making $450 to $500. I mean, now in fairness, it probably took you a lot more time because you had to go, you still have to go drive and look at the property now, but you had to go get your film developed. You got the software to get your program, I'm sure, was not nearly as easy as it is now.
Nowhere near. Not to mention, as when we see appraisers get turned around in 24 hours.
Yeah.
48 hours, worst case, you're getting in there, you're probably getting their ass at there 48, 72 hours.
Right.
You know, if he would tell me, hey, Orlando, I need this appraisal in 48 hours, man, that was like pressure, you know.
Couldn't even get your film developed in 48 hours. I mean, come on.
Right. That was pressure. I would have to go and sit at these places where they develop the film and pay them extra, push me to the front of the line, and get my pictures out and hope, this is the worst, and hope that the pictures, that's what sucked. Hope that the pictures came out clean and clear, you know, because if not, you got to go back out and take them again.
You couldn't Photoshop it and just get it just right?
No,
and everything
we
like
couldn't do that. We couldn't do that. We couldn't do shades. We couldn't do any of that stuff. I couldn't manipulate the sun. You know, there was so many different things we had to learn to do just to get clean pictures, especially in sunny California. So, yeah, so it was completely different, you know, back then as to what it is now.
And that's good. And listen,
I benefited so much from it.
I didn't want to derail you, but I was curious what you charged for it. All right, but you made the decision. Yeah. You did some math because you're a smart guy, and you're like, wait a minute, should I be doing appraisals or should I be on the? And you at this point you decide to go. I'm going to go on the lending side.
Yeah. So what happened was I'm sitting here and I'm like, and again, this is a good friend of mine. We've been friends forever. You know, his father was a tycoon in the inner city of LA. You know, doing real estate. And then he learned the business and moved on and then brought me along as far as, you know, just offered me an opportunity to be his appraiser. Never offered me the opportunity to do loans, which I didn't care. I didn't ask. I wasn't interested. One day I just sat back, maybe about 2 years. I'm like, man, this guy's paying me like 10 grand a month, you know, to do appraisals. How much is he making? You know what I mean? What's going on here?
Yeah, you were inquisitive. You were curious. Makes sense.
And he was smart. He was a smart guy.
Yeah.
And I thought I was reasonably smart. So I was like, you know, if he can do it, and I saw his work ethic. Which was phenomenal. He just had a great work ethic, and I learned a lot from him in that regard as well, amongst other people in my life. I just decided, I came to him one day, you know, no, let me correct that, Michael. He fired me. Ah. And
Wait. Why did he fire you?
Well, he fired me because I think 1 month I made about $15K.
Whew.
And we're doing appraisals. Now, at the time, I'm 20, I think I'm 23.
Dude, you were rolling. You were rolling.
I thought it was. So
you were.
I thought it was, man. So I'm like, oh, you know, so he fires me. He just told me one day, just Orlando. He brought me in his office. We laughed for about 30, 40 minutes. He goes, okay, I got to tell you something. I said, what? And then mind you, as I walk through, I'm noticing like some reconstruction going on in his office, in one of the suites in his office. I'm like, oh, what is he putting in there? I thought he was putting in another call center because he had a call center, right? He goes, yeah, I'm not going to let you do my appraisals anymore. And he said, you want to go grab some lunch? I'm like, what? Wait, hold on, slow down. He goes, Orlando, I can bring in 5 guys for what I'm paying you a month. 3 or 4 guys for what I'm paying you a month. I can bring in guys, put them on a salary of $3,500 a month, you know, to do appraisals for me, and I'll still come out cheaper than what I'm paying you, and I can get even more done. So yeah, he fired me.
Wow.
So I said,
you learned some business lessons right there. Jeez. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I'm like, damn. Now, mind you, I'm about 24 at this point, and I'd gotten so dependent on the income, right? I mean, Mike, we were balling, man. We were partying together, doing things together, going out of town together, going to Vegas together, balling.
Yeah.
And now the rug's pulled from under me.
That's brutal.
It was pretty brutal. And he was like, hey, but we're friends. I'm like, I don't know. So
yeah, really? Like, I don't know if we're friends, buddy.
Yeah, don't feel like it. So I just told him, no problem if you teach me how to do the mortgage game. Teach me the lending side. And he was like, yeah, cool, perfect. He was like, I wondered when you were going to ask me that. And I was like, all right, cool. So I wound up going out with, he was so busy. I went out with one of his guys in his office, and we were doing, Michael, hard money, true hard money. You're easy money. We were doing hard money lending, Mike.
All right, tell me the difference. What's real hard money?
We were, well, first off, we were doing foreclosures only.
Okay.
We get a foreclosure list, and we would go and knock on homeowners' doors and present who we were and what we could do to assist them in this time of need, right?
Oh, God.
I couldn't tell you how many times I had things thrown at me. I've had water tossed at me. I've had dogs sicked on me. I've had it all. But bottom line is, I don't want to get too far. We go out and that was his business model. Where we would go directly to the borrower, approach.
But you weren't the lender, correct?
No, we weren't. But we had the foreclosure notice, and we would show them, hey, listen, you're placed in foreclosure.
Sure.
You have 90 days. You're gonna have to do something. Now I have means of getting you a new loan where we finance you out of your foreclosure. It was expensive, but at least you'll save your home, and then we'll circle back in 12 months because I had a secondary lender who would come in 12 months and refinance them out of the hard money. So we had a plan for them. Okay, it was brutal, but we had a plan for them, right? It was much better than the alternative, which was my house is going to go to
eviction.
Public auction.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So that was the type of hard money we do. Now, as far as cost, these investors, man, they were greedy. They were sometimes 15 and 15, Michael.
What?
I mean, yeah.
15 and 15? You're talking 15 points?
15 points.
Oh, my God.
And 15 what?
50% interest rate and 15 points? Do you guys not have usury back then?
No, sir.
And these are owner-occupied.
Owner-occupied. Section 32 was not enforced at the time. Oh, my God. You're familiar with Section 32, right?
No. Is that a California deal or is that
I think that's a California deal.
Yeah.
Well, so Section 32 regulated how many points you could charge. Now, you still could charge the points, but it was a different disclosure and cooling down period that you had to go through. So if you charged anything exceeding, I think 6 points, I want to say, they had to get an additional 7 days of cooling off period to give them more time to think about it, because their thoughts were people were being reactive as opposed to thinking about different options. The argument from the private sector was, well, there aren't any other options, the argument on the private sector was to these politicians who put these things in play were, well, are you guys going to offer them government subsidized loans? Because if you want us being the private lenders, to put up our money to someone who's proven to have a poor track record, we want to be compensated. So that's kind of how it works.
But how did, and we won't spend too much time on it and everything, but if they weren't making the payments on their loan that I'm guessing was cheaper than 15 and 15 or whatever you guys were going to charge, how in the world were they able to pay your loan unless you guys fronted them the money?
So that's a good question, Mike. And here's what looking back, I pay a lot more attention to. We're talking around 91, 92, 93, 94. Okay. What do you think the interest rates were on mortgages in 77, 78, 79, 80?
In 77, or are we talking 92, 93, 94?
No, in 77.
Oh, it was 10, 11%, right? 10 to 12, maybe 13.
12, 15, yeah.
Yeah.
North of 12, up to 15. So they were already paying. Right. So in addition, I think the only thing that was different for them was the upfront points.
The 15%, yeah.
Right.
So basically, it was a down payment they were making to you guys.
I guess that's maybe the case. Now, with that being said, that was just the norm. That was the industry standard. Entering that, I knew no different. I didn't know any different. About where the rates should be in terms of points and so forth and so on. This was just the industry standard for hard money.
Let me stop you real quick. I want to kind of backtrack for a second.
Sure.
I want to ask you a question, because I didn't have any of this. So I was curious if you did. Did you have in your schooling, from your parents at home, anybody, any financial literacy prior to your job or deciding to get into this? Because you just said you didn't know any better. You didn't know what the rates were, I think. Because, look, I had zero. I had none. I had zero financial literacy, even coming out of law school. I didn't have anything. So I'm curious, did you have any financial literacy, or did you learn it all on the job?
I learned every bit of it on the job.
Yeah.
I had not touched a calculator since high school. I did not understand loan to value. I didn't understand points. I didn't understand any of these things in terms of debt to income ratio. None of this stuff. Everything had to be learned while I was going through the process of doing these deals.
And I'll just one more question on this, and then we'll go back.
Absolutely.
I know you have kids. Have you taught your kids growing up? Did you decide, hey, I want my kids to have some financial literacy? I want them to understand what some of this means. They might not ever get into the business, but they might, if they buy a house one day or something like that. Have you dwelled on that at all, or was that important to you all, or not?
No, I haven't. Okay. I haven't had a bunch of conversations about it with my kids at this point, because they're still in college, and they haven't gone to the point where they're about to really enter that. At least my two youngest have not gone into the point where they're about to enter into that field.
Okay.
What I have done is explain to them the business and how it works, and how the value of owning real estate.
Yep.
Value of investing in real estate. I have thrown in front of them how to spot a good deal. That's going to make us money if we flip it.
Okay.
How to spot a deal if it's going to be long term. We've done that.
I would just recommend
beyond that, not really.
I would recommend that because I feel like most kids, unless they got either their parents taught it or they took some sort of financial literacy class, they have no clue. Right.
I agree.
What a mortgage is, interest rate, what rates were, what they should be, what's a reasonable price, how much you should put down on something, how much somebody should charge you for a loan, what's reasonable. Right. I mean, I understand it changes over time, but to give your kid, I just, in hindsight, I wish my parents, or I wish there was a class in high school or in college, that law school, somewhere along the way where I was not completely clueless about it.
It's funny. When I first, so in my initial years, Michael, of dealing with the introduction that I had into lending, which is, again, the hard money side, and my client base was foreclosures, right? It wasn't a hard sell. So I don't think I really was required to offer them a whole lot of financial literacy other than, hey, you're going to keep your home. And then I'll be back in 11 months and we'll rewrite your deal. Now I don't know if you remember this or not, Mike. Do you remember the lender Guardian Bank, Long Beach Bank, Quality Mortgage?
So I think, and I don't remember them, but at the time, but when I got into the hard money lending space, right, was in 2008. Mm-hmm. So, the world was melting down. So I read a lot of books because I wanted to educate myself on it. And Long Beach and the Guardian, did you say Guardian?
Quality Mortgage.
Those names were in these books.
Yeah, New Century Mortgage.
Yes, they were all in those books I read about. So I recall them from that, but I don't recall them. I was a kid. I was a kid. I don't know.
I knew all of those guys. I knew all the owners. I knew all the CEOs of those companies. Because I was coming out of the foreclosure stage, which probably...
Well, yeah. Tell us how long did you do that type of hard money lending?
So I did that probably, I'm going to say, from the hard money was around 93. Okay. And then from 92, 93. And then about 2.5 years in, around 94, 95, we started to transition into a new name, which was called subprime. Okay. So that's when all of your Quality Mortgage, Guardian, Long Beach, Ocwen, New Century Mortgage, countrywide, just all rushed the market at one time. And it was subprime. So I did subprime. So the hard money was about 2.5 years. Subprime kicked in around 95.
But in reality, subprime was just hard money. There was no difference.
Hard money with a skirt and lipstick on, yeah.
Oh, it was nicer.
It was a little nicer.
Oh,
it was.
Okay.
And that's where the Section 32 guidelines really kicked in. They weren't charging 15% to subprime. They were not charging, 10, 12 points. You probably could charge 5, maybe 6. And then, but the beautiful part is you could get money on the back end. Like they would give you discount points
Okay.
if you sold a certain rate.
Sure.
So New Century Mortgage would come to me and say, Orlando, if you get us 8.9 or 10%, we'll give you an extra 2 points in the back. Okay, cool. You know, but Michael, we were selling 10.9% interest rates on adjustables, 6-month adjustables.
So, by the way, I can't believe that you bitch at me about my rates I charge you over. I don't understand, where you're coming from now. I feel like I've been misled all these years. I did not know all this background.
Things have changed, man. Times have changed.
That's true.
But it's crazy. This is what we were selling because this is the product we had. This is what was available to us. So we were selling those deals, and then subprime, I guess, started to kind of dwindle out when I'm going to say around 2002, 2003.
Yeah.
It started to fizzle a little bit, and then we started selling more A-paper deals, which mean you had to actually have good credit. So that whole foreclosure market, subprime market, I really wasn't doing as much with them because the A-paper guys, which I'm sure you're familiar with, like Flagstar Bank,
Sure.
Chase,
Yeah.
all those companies started to get into the fold of doing the loans. And so from 2003 until about 2008, that's what I was focusing on. We were writing all our deals online, submitting them through, I forget what it's called, when we submit them online in a process and we'd have an answer like that.
Yeah.
I forget what that was called.
It was the desktop underwriting, right?
Yeah, it was desktop underwriting, but it had a name. And I could submit it through Fannie Mae or Fannie Mac, whichever one gave me the better rate, quicker deal.
Okay. Were you a correspondent lender or a correspondent broker or something?
I was a correspondent lender. So I had a line with these companies. So I did that up until 2008 when the wheels just completely fell off. Prior to that, I kind of saw the writing on the wall a little bit right around mid 06. It was just too expensive. And nobody was doing full documented loans anymore. At that point, everybody was doing NIV, which non-income verification. And so you didn't even bother to ask as often because the rates were so competitive, regardless if you were full doc or non-doc, right? And it just got to the point where everybody was getting these loans and you're looking at these people saying, I know you don't qualify for this loan, but I mean, I cannot deny you. I cannot say that you're not telling me the truth when I'm filling out these applications, or at least when my
you were doing the liar loans.
I didn't want to use that word.
It's okay. You can use it.
I didn't want to use that word, but at the time I had around 12 loan officers, and in my office, and I would always tell them that you cannot, if they're telling you this is what they make, you can't question. I think that in fact it was illegal for us to push back. They say they make $1,000 a month.
By the way, isn't it crazy that you came full circle, right? In your think about this. If you started in 90, 91, 92, you started doing loans, and you were going to people that were being foreclosed on, and you knew those people couldn't make the payments, they were being foreclosed on, right? You just went to them, made them an offer on something, and came full circle. You started with those loans, and then you got to subprime. You got a little prettier, and then you got we're doing A-paper and all that, and now you're causing the financial crisis and doing liar loans, and you're probably doing the adjustable mortgage rates and getting the guys in on the teaser rates and all that other stuff.
All that stuff. Man.
And so we can really say that Orlando basically led to the crash of the
I had a hand in it.
So, but no, it's interesting though. This is great. So it's super interesting to me, and I didn't know this, Orlando, because we've talked a lot of times. But I
thought we've had this conversation.
No, not as detailed. I mean, you kind of said you were in the lending business and all that stuff, but you didn't tell me. But I didn't know. So at some point, though, you decided I'm going to buy my own properties, fix them up, and flip them.
Yeah.
And when did 2008, 2009? I mean, interesting time to start doing that. I mean, there was lots of opportunity, but is that when you started?
Yeah. So along the way, I would acquire a handful of properties that, I would keep, I would consider my retirement package. I say, hey, I got to keep a couple of these things that I would run across.
Okay.
Because there were times, in fact, I still own a few of them now that I've owned for over 25 years. There were times when I would go approach these owners about, hey, we're going to help you refinance out of this deal because you're in trouble. And they were just like, nah, I just want to get rid of it. So you would run into that from time to time. And I would buy those. Never would flip them. I would always, for the most part, keep them.
And would you rent them out?
Yeah, I'd rent them out.
Okay.
Now, from time to time, it could be because someone inherited from their uncle or whatever, and they didn't want the property. I mean, I remember driving all the way to Vegas one time and to Flagstaff, Arizona one time from LA to get signatures, because somebody wanted to sell and they had a family member had to go meet with them. I've gone to the penitentiary to sign to sign documents. I have. I've done it all. And some of those properties, you along the years, you keep some of those properties because some people just say, hey, I just don't want it anymore, right? Yep. I'm not going to walk away and say, well, I can't do your loan, so I'll just buy it. Okay, fine. Right around 06, 07, Mike, I just really took a sample of what was happening here in California. And, you had to make 125, 150 grand to live in some of the roughest neighborhoods in LA, from Watts to Compton. You'd have to have a combined household because the houses were so expensive. I mean, it just gotten so crazy. I mean, everyone was refinancing their home every 6 to 9 months. They just refinance it again, pull out another 30,000. Refinance again. You look at them and weren't you just here like 9 months ago? Yeah, but we're going to start a business and we want to refinance and pull out another. Now, we were making so much money, Michael. I mean, we felt like we had sort of like you are right now. We felt like we had a printing press in the back room. It just felt unreal. And, I'm still relatively young at this time.
Yeah, oh, sure.
And it's like, man, this is unbelievable for a kid, out of South Central LA, no formal education other than high school, to be operating and running a business of this magnitude, making this type of money was just beyond my dreams. I always felt like I'd do well, in business at some point, but this was definitely beyond my dreams.
American success story.
It was American. It really was, as Don King says, only in America.
That's right. Only in America. I was thinking the same thing. Only in America.
Oh my God. So, and seeing the things I've seen growing up, just to have these opportunities was pretty incredible.
It's awesome.
That being said, I just started to one day look and say, hey, again, with these liar loans, right? These liar loans, man, I just said, how much longer can we sustain this?
And for those of that are just listening and not watching this podcast, Orlando said liar loans in quotes, just FYI. I just want everyone to know, just in quotes. Yeah.
Well, I heard, that's what I was told to recall.
That's right. He didn't know. To this day, plausible deniability. I mean, I love that, man. Statute of limitations ran. You're good.
Is it right? Okay.
Oh, you're good.
I'm talking to the right guy.
That's right. I feel confident. With that. Yeah.
So just understanding that, and again, just I always feared being broke, Mike. That was part of my work ethic, was just not coming from nothing, acquiring some things, and then the fear of it being possibly could be taken away, just really gave me sleepless nights. And that's where a lot of my work ethic still comes from to this day. I still don't believe in that what's happening. I still believe like, hey, tomorrow it can all, I better be on this, right?
By the way, that still could happen today. It could all go away in a day. I mean, we've talked about that. We've talked about that. You got to be careful right now. You got to be a little careful.
All go away.
Yeah.
So I just started saying to myself, where else can I kind of not necessarily lend, but where can I acquire properties? So initially, I wanted to acquire just to generate rental income. Where can I go and do this, and where can I get it reasonably cheap, and where can I, pull a profit? Amongst that time, from about 2006 and 07, I actually flipped one of the houses I purchased in California. And I said, man, that wasn't hard at all. That wasn't tough. Now, mind you, hot market, that wasn't tough.
And real quick, I just want to ask real quick, because I do want to get into this a little bit later, but did you pay cash or did you get a loan for when you bought the house?
I use hard money, private money.
That's what I wanted. Yeah.
Private money. Yeah, absolutely.
And where did you? I mean, obviously, you had a lot of connections, but was there some guys in the space that you had knew about? And
yeah, and I think I told you about them when I first met you. JMJ Financial.
Yes.
I don't think they have a problem with mentioning them, but they have downsized considerably since. I mean, we're talking 30-some years when I first met them, and they probably were in the business 20 years before I met them. So they're a little bit on the dinosaur side, but they still do some deals here and there, and I still use them on occasion on certain deals that just are a good fit for them, right? And some of that is also just based on, hey man, we've been doing business this long. I don't want to just next thing Mike won't do all my deals, so what can I say? so I bought it with them and I fixed it up. And I mean, when I say cosmetic flip, Mike, it was an absolute go in here, paint it, put some carpet down, boom, sold, let's go.
Nice.
I did doing like 2 of those deals, and that's when that bubble was starting to pop.
Yep.
In California, right? So I just had to find. I mean, now I'm like, I can't do loans because no banks were lending money at this time anymore.
Right.
At the end of 2007, right? So all the banks dried up. The values of the property were coming down, super fast. So I just decided, I said, hey, man, I may have to take this show on the road, and I have to find a market that I thought, a person could be a warehouse worker, which, shout out to all the hardworking warehouse workers out there.
Sure.
And their spouse could either be a homemaker or have a part-time job, right? And they could still afford a home. Impossible in California.
Right.
So I just started looking at the Midwest. And that's how, I closed my eyes, threw a dart. No, I'm just kidding. I actually did a little more research. But that's how I came across the Midwest and started doing business in the Midwest prior to you and I actually meeting.
So was St. Louis where you decided to go from the get-go, or did you go someplace else first and then end up there?
Well, St. Louis was the first place. Now, again, being that I was doing loans, the subprime deals, and then the A-paper deals, I was lending beyond California.
Okay.
I was licensed in Washington, Oregon. I was licensed in Florida. I was licensed in Texas, which I don't think we had to have a license at the time in Texas. I have to double check, but I knew we were doing deals in Texas, and I was doing deals in Louisiana.
Wow.
And I think I did a couple of deals at the time in Oklahoma.
Now
I had a feel of different.
This is the power of the internet, right? At this point, these people are all finding you. They're all finding you online.
So what I was no. We had a call. I created a call center.
Oh.
So I was doing telemarketing.
You were cold calling.
I had an office.
Okay.
I had 6 people. I had 6 people in my office. I purchased this dialer, a dollar, that would dial all these numbers. I would get all of my leads from different credit companies, and I would say, hey, here's my criteria. I need people with this FICO score, this many mortgages. They'd give me that, feed it all into the database, and it would pop up on the screen. They had their headsets, they call, boom.
Wow.
And that's how I was getting deals in Florida. I mean, I did so many deals in Florida. Florida was such a great market for me. Florida, I did deals in Arizona, and then obviously California. So my main hubs were Arizona, California, Florida, and a handful in Louisiana.
And so you decided to go to the Midwest simply because the price points at that time?
Total price point. I just had to find the correct Midwest city. And
besides closing your eyes and throwing a dart, which we know you didn't do.
Closing my eyes and dart. That narrowed it down for me.
How did you pick St. Louis? Did you have any family connection, friends, something?
No friends, no connections. Had no idea where St. Louis was.
Hadn't done business? It sounded like you didn't even do loans there.
Never thought of St. Louis other than I knew the Rams played there,
Was that part of the appeal that you thought maybe this market hasn't been steamrolled or run over, or the price has gone way up, then come way down? This is a much more stable market because I haven't done loans there, so maybe this is a good place for me to want to buy and fix up properties?
I wish I was that smart to calculate all that, but no.
Okay.
Just knew that I just knew Midwest prices were different than California prices.
Yeah.
I knew Midwest prices were significantly different than East Coast prices. You know, I knew Midwest prices were significantly less than Southeast prices, such as Florida, right? So, and because I was doing deals in the South in Louisiana, so I saw the disparity in price point, right? The difference. So for me, it had to have certain things. Like I said, okay, whatever city I go to, they have to have a rich history and some culture. So St. Louis is known for jazz. St. Louis has the World Fair was there. It's right on the river. It was a huge port.
St. Louis is known for jazz?
Yeah.
I was not aware.
Blues.
St. Louis Blues. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. No, they have a jazz background in St. Louis for sure.
Okay.
And the blues and so forth and so on. Yeah, it's definitely a musical city. And then, you know, I said they have to have.
By the way, the World's Fair was like in 1904 or something like that.
But there's history. There's history.
Okay.
Check the box. It checked the box.
Okay.
So then I also wanted to have, you know, a huge corporate base. You know, you have Enterprise, you have Scripps, you have Monsanto, you have
Anheuser-Busch.
Anheuser-Busch. So that was, you know, you have all these large corporations in this small city. And then I wanted to have entertainment. You know, they're known for they have great museums in St. Louis, but more importantly, they had hockey, the Cardinals in baseball, and at the time they had the Rams.
Yeah.
So I said, you know, this is a city I can see people gravitating to and wanting to be in, you know. So I paid it a visit. And
no basketball, though.
No basketball.
Yeah.
No basketball. But again, they had at least 3 sports teams that were well supported.
And by the way, yeah, good fan base for sure. I mean, the St. Louis Cardinal baseball fans are known as the best fans in baseball. Yeah. Did they have riverboat casinos at that time? Or was that not there yet?
You know, I got there at the end of 06.
So
I didn't pay attention to that. And I really got my feet dug in, Michael, around 2007 is when I was like, I'm all in and I'm here. Was 07.
Okay.
And I've been there since. And those were my criteria, you know, and I found deals and I found homes that I could, even in a depressed market, like people in California who were friends of mine, they were just losing their asses, man, you know, trying to flip houses.
California's a tough market to do that in, right? I mean, too wild fluctuations, all that other stuff. So when you went to St. Louis and you said, okay, pick this place, you went through your criteria, and you're like, all right, now I'm going to buy and fix and flip some houses. Where'd you get the money? Was it the California guys giving you the money to do it, or did you find local lenders in St. Louis?
No. I start off with some of my own cash.
Okay.
To get my first few deals done. And then I immediately went to the funding source that I had here in California. That's, again, that we talked about earlier. Locally, there was a guy, I think his initials is S and a G. I think you know the guy. I don't want to give him any airtime. But he was ridiculous. I mean, he was just ridiculous. What he was expecting in return, and some of it was he had saw the first 3 or 4 deals I had done.
Yeah.
And I think he was probably impressed with it, and he thought that, hey, I can eat off this guy as well. Maybe, I don't know, maybe just didn't think I knew what the hell I was doing in terms of the financial literacy side. But he was just ridiculous. And I used to just talk to him for entertainment purposes only. Because there was like, no way I'm doing to deal with this guy. He's like, and I think there was a committee called the Southside Investment Club or something like that.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if you recall them or not, but they were around.
I do. They were around then?
They were around then.
Wow.
So people were going to those meetings
and
bouncing different ideas off people's chests. And I was content with using my own money and content with using, you know, the guys out here in California. And they were, you know, at this point, you know, I'd been doing business with them over 15 some odd years, 20 years. So obviously we developed a friendship. You know, they never lost a dime working with me. So they were like, yeah, we'll try it with you, no problem. And then I think I mentioned this company at the time, Anchor Loans.
Okay. Yeah.
Was doing some stuff. And I worked with them on some deals. They eventually, when the market toughened around 09-ish.
Yeah. Yeah.
They wanted no more parts of anything outside of California.
Oh, really?
So yeah, they wanted no more parts of it. So I wound up, getting all their deals done, got them paid out, and then stopped using them. And when did you come there?
So you and I think, met in 2012.
Oh, that's what I was going to say. I was going to say 11, 12.
As 11 or 12. I do remember we were at a bar.
Yeah,
And
we were at, we were at the, right there down, it was right there on Fond du Lac.
Okay.
We were at
a hotel. We met at the hotel, right?
And at the hotel.
And you came in the hotel bar because I think you had talked to my partner Merrill.
Did.
You had met Merrill, and then you and I met then. And then, so curious, right? What made you decide to want to use us? Other than, and it could have been we might have been, the only game in town, or not the only game. There was always lenders in St. Louis, but not.
Honestly, Mike.
And if you can't remember, that's okay, because I can't either.
No, I totally remember. I remember Merrill wanted me to come out and meet you.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, it was evening time. So I said, okay, fine. I had no intentions. I didn't think you guys could do anything better than or match what I was getting done. I just didn't.
Yeah, you're probably right.
So, and I was like, it can't hurt. I mean, this is my thoughts. I didn't know for certain.
Sure.
I said, it can't hurt for me to go and talk and bounce some things off of each other. So, yeah, I get there. We talked. Merrill was I remember Merrill doing a lot of the talking.
Michael, we're going to have to edit your laughing out of here, man. We got to edit your laughing. Our producer, I'm allowed to laugh. Our producer's going to hit this third party, like, who's laughing back there?
Yeah, what's that?
Who's giggling?
And I remember we were just, I was having a cocktail drink, and he's talking, and we're drinking, he's talking. And you were Don Corleone. You just sat back and didn't say a word. Michael, you didn't say a word. You just sat there.
In fairness, when Merrill's going.
You were Don Corleone.
I mean, Merrill's going. There's not a lot for me to say. What am I going to say?
You didn't. You just kind of observed,
yeah.
Right?
Well, because you were there. You were there with Merrill, and we had someone else, too. There was another barber, another guy.
I think it's Z. It started with a Z.
Oh, no, I know exactly who it is. Yeah, Steve Zantop. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, I remember him.
I remember.
And I remember he and I had talked prior to. He used to always send me emails about his work, but whatever. So I'm looking and I'm thinking to myself, like, why is this guy not saying anything, right? And then towards the very end, you chimed in. Because I think Merrill, I was saying what I was getting. Merrill was like, no, we can't do that. No. And then you just kind of eventually said, so Orlando, if we do such and such and such and such, we can get your business. And I'm thinking to myself, yeah, but I'm thinking Merrill's basically saying you're not going to do it, right? And you're like, okay, all right. We'll give you a call. We'll see what we can do. No commitment in the moment, but kind of open-ended. And I was like, okay. And I didn't think much of it. So I think I got my next deal or had something going, and I reached out. And you were like, yeah, okay, we're going to do this. We're going to do it like that. And it was always just not a lot of crap, a lot of BS. Just like, yeah, we can do it, man. We'll make it work. So we're talking 13 years later.
Yeah.
We're still doing deals.
Yeah.
And
I went and looked. By the way, I went and looked. We've done over 30 deals together.
Wow. I thought we'd probably done more, but I'll take the 30.
We're over 30. I mean, we're over 30.
I'll take that. Given
with your current portfolio going on, we've done over 35 deals.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
It's crazy.
And I think that's cool. And again, over time, just trying to make my obligation is always to my lenders, my investors. I want to make sure you guys are always going to be whole. So I work my ass off to make sure that's the case. I don't present deals that I think are going to be shit, for you guys, to take on.
Well, now, I mean, but Orlando, it all makes sense. Like, you're a lender, right? You started in the business. You started as an appraiser. You started as a lender. Why would you bring a bad deal? You're not going to bring a deal that doesn't make sense. I mean,
right.
And look, I don't think anyone brings a deal that they think doesn't make sense, right? Unless they're trying to commit fraud. But
Unless they
But some people don't know what they're doing. You've got
don't know what they're doing.
the amount of experience that you've had is awesome. And by the way, over the years, people have tried to trade off your experience with us. Doesn't always work out so well. Right? It's hard to beat the original, and
Right.
they can't
That's for sure.
fake. They can't fake, right? If they don't know what's going on, right?
True.
And so you've been a great borrower. And what's cool about you and I think over the years is that we find out we have a lot in common. We both have a passion, right, for sports. We love talking sports.
Absolutely.
And so, yeah, you and I can do a whole nother podcast and we can talk sports. And by the way, I do think I need to bring up one thing, and we can come back to real estate in a little bit. But
Sure.
you know what tomorrow is, right?
Tomorrow is my birthday.
It's your birthday tomorrow?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Oh my gosh.
It's my birthday,
I
man.
didn't even
Yeah.
set that up. You know what? If we were thinking better, we would have set up for you to come in town for your birthday.
That would have been dope.
And I would have got you a birthday gift. You know what we would have done? You don't even know. You don't even know.
I do not. Hold on. Give me a second here. Let me see. Because, Mike,
I should
you're
have done
not
this.
a predictable person.
This is
You're not
terrible.
a predictable person, man.
What's that?
You are not a predictable person.
No, but
So
I'm
I'd have to
super
really think here.
predictable. What are you talking about?
No, you're not predictable.
Look
at all.
behind you.
Um,
I'm looking at the picture right behind you.
They're in Dallas tomorrow.
Yes.
Oh,
How did
shit.
we not plan this, Orlando? You should have been here. We would have gone to the game.
I would have. Okay, look. I would have loved that, Mike.
Yeah.
But you probably would have been pissed the whole time.
You are correct. You are 1,000% correct. I would have done it for you. I would have taken you to the game, and I would have sat there with my arms folded and been very upset, probably cheering for the Lakers, which would just be super hard to do.
Oh, you bring tears to my eyes.
But Luka and the Lakers are playing the Mavericks tomorrow. And
That's crazy.
I want to tell you this. So my daughter is funny. My 13-year-old is a basketball fan, because I wouldn't say a Mavericks fan, because she's sort of a Mavericks fan.
Okay.
She's really a bizarre Jason Tatum fan. She's a big Jason Tatum fan. By the way, from St. Louis,
And look,
just
yeah.
FYI. And she texts me.
His dad wants to do business with you.
We've been doing business with his dad.
Yeah. Flip on. Okay. Yeah.
And she goes, can we go to the Laker game tomorrow? She goes, Luka's going to be back in town. And I'm like, yes, I know. I'm aware. She's like, can we go to the game? I said, no, I don't have tickets. And she said, what do you mean you don't have tickets? I go, I have season tickets with some friends and we share tickets. I don't have the tickets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she's like, can we get tickets? And I was like, no, I don't want to go. She goes, I miss Luka. I said, me too. That's why I don't want to
That's
go.
where you want to go, right?
But I would have taken you, Orlando, because I know you're a Laker
I
fan.
appreciate it. And I hope she doesn't see that or hear this, because
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell her. I'll tell her. But yeah, you know what? I'm so mad at myself not knowing it's your birthday. We should have had you come in. We could have done the podcast in person.
That would have been dope. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
you could have it really, enjoyed watching the Lakers play the Mavericks. And I would have just sat there.
You would have been that would have been, I don't know how I would have felt about that, than
I would have been a good sport. I would enjoy your company, and I enjoy greatness, right?
I would have sat there and listened to you break down how Dallas's front offices are a bunch of idiots. And look at that. Why would they let that go? They're crazy. What's going
Look, I've already done that with you. I got no energy left for it. It would have just been like literally sitting there and getting punched in the nuts for about 2.5 hours.
Back to real estate.
Yes. Let's taking it back to real estate.
Yeah, a couple of things. Where do you see the rehab market right now? Or in a capsule of the next 12 months?
Okay, well, is the tariff war over, or is it still raging?
We don't know what. It's uncertainty, right?
Well, this is the problem. We cannot answer. We cannot answer future questions right now because hold on. Let's look real quick.
I was about to say, don't do it. I know you got the crystal ball, Michael. Just go ahead and admit
I
it.
do not have a crystal ball, but I am looking real quick. Oh, The stock market was up when we started our conversation. It's now down. It's now down 491 points.
Get this shit out of here.
Well, because remember, our president said that if China didn't back down, he was going to add 50% more tariffs.
Yeah.
So my hunch is, and I've been talking to you, so I don't know, but I just looked. It's
I didn't know
down.
that.
It was up before I came in here. It was up 520 points today. It is now down. It is now down 470. So it's dropped in the time we've been talking, which is an hour and a half.
1,000-point swing.
1,000-point swing. And you want me to tell you what I think is going to happen in the rehab right now? Orlando, I don't have a clue. I mean, look, I did read that lumber and sheetrock from Canada were exempt from tariffs, right?
That's good to hear.
So I did read that, but I'm worried that, look, the biggest issue right now is this is causing uncertainty, and uncertainty makes it really challenging in the real estate market, right? Because people, I think people were getting ready to accept where the interest rates were where they were. The Fed wasn't going to lower rates very much this year. And people were like, you know what, I want to buy a house. I'm not going to wait. I'm ready to buy. Do it.
Right.
People weren't selling their houses, right, because they had 3% mortgage rates on 30-year fixed loans. So why would you sell? You're not where you're going to go. I mean, there's no point in downsizing because you're going to have the same, unless you're paying cash. If you get another mortgage, now it's going to be double the rate you're paying. So even if you downsize, you're going to be paying the same amount. So people are like, you know what, I'll stay. But I thought there was going to be enough action happening that I was looking forward to a good rest of the year for us from a lending standpoint, which means good for our borrower standpoint. I thought there would be a lot of homes be trading. I think markets, everything I read, the trends were all going up. This is all, and I'm talking to you reading, I'm talking prior to the last 7 days, right?
Okay.
And then we put tariffs on, the other countries have put tariffs on. Okay, let's just break this down. So the whole point of our president saying he wanted to put tariffs on was that we had unfair trade deficits with other countries and other countries weren't being fair with us, which to me is a semi-asinine statement because in the last 70 years, I think we've probably been the most successful country the world has ever seen, from individual citizens in the United States developing wealth and ability to change your fortunes. Orlando Askins, a great story, right there. Like you said, a kid making more money than you ever thought you could when you were 25 years old. It's an American success story. I had the same thing. It took me a little longer until I was 40 to figure that out. But so I disagree with the premise. And now the problem is you put yourself in this corner of the rest of these other countries. Some of them are going to be like, hey, look, we have a trade deficit because you want to buy more goods from us than we want to buy from you.
Right.
It's not that we don't want to buy them. You don't produce them. You don't manufacture them. So how are we supposed to correct this trade balance? And people are saying, well, he'll negotiate lower tariffs. It's like that wasn't the premise of what he's doing. Lower tariffs, we're not buying from these other countries because tariffs are too high.
Right.
I mean, the stuff that Vietnam is manufacturing in there and that China's manufacturing, they're manufacturing goods that we buy at a price that is cheap. It's so cheap. And so we want to add a tariff to it. Okay, so it's going to cost them more expensive. People won't buy the property, or they'll be like, hey, look, what do you want us to buy from you? You don't produce anything anymore.
You're right. We don't have nothing anyone wants.
What are we going to buy? I mean, we do have stuff people can buy, but they already buy it, right? And we use it for a lot of our internal consumption, right? We're a big country, 340 million people. So I'm very worried that that we are letting one man dictate something where technically it's not even his right, right? Mm-hmm. Tariffs are not the purview of the president, it's Congress, right? But Congress at some point gave the president emergency powers so they could enact tariffs, blah, blah, blah. But Congress has the ability to take it away.
Right. Yeah, there's discussions.
The Senate passed a bill, but the House won't even take it up.
Take a look at
So
right. Johnson won't look at it, correct?
Say again?
Speaker of the House is Johnson, correct?
Correct.
I saw the other day where he said he's not interested in
not gonna bring it
seeing it. He wants to give the president more time.
Right.
Now,
But how much more time do you want to give?
Now, with that being said, do you think that hurts consumer confidence in buying a house right now? I mean, is that where you're leading with that?
Yes, 100%. Consumer confidence, uncertainty breeds lack of confidence.
Yeah, right.
And so when there's lack of confidence, you freeze. You don't move. You're paralyzed. And so it's very, very challenging for people to want to go, sure, if they want to make a move, right? Because do you think we're going to have inflation? Do you think interest rates are going to go down? We were cruising along. We had bounced back from COVID better than any country in the world. And we were cruising along. I'm not saying it was great, but it was better than any other country. And
Absolutely.
And by the way, you have to grade stuff on a curve. You cannot grade and say, well, a year and a half ago, it was much better here in the United States. Right. But the rest of the world, we all had to adjust and go through some stuff. We bounced back better than anybody else. What else are you supposed to do? Right? So I don't know. You're a fix and flipper. I lend to you. Are you looking for new deals right now? Or are you like, I got 5 going or 10 going right now, and I'm going to finish those, and then I'm going to be opportunistic?
Well, for me, I operate from a perspective of, when there's blood in the street, I try to buy as much as I can, right? I just do. Some people, when there's blood in the street, they freeze, they get nervous. I buy as much as I can, and I'll hold on to. I'm working on deals right now, Michael, on some of the things I've had in inventory for 2 years, and I'm just not getting to them.
But
right?
What's different for you than a lot of investors? There's 2 big things.
I got a great investor I work with.
2 big things.
Longhorn believes in me.
Yeah, you've got a ton of experience and you got a bankroll.
Yeah. I think that. Yeah, I think that. I am concerned about material costs for sure. The only thing that slows me down has nothing to do with the tariffs. It has anything to do with what Trump is doing per se. Is just labor, finding more labor, more tradesmen, so forth and so on. So that's the difference for me.
Well, but
I do think this conversation scares people.
That's
make people freeze.
No, I know, but that's tied to the administration as well as your lack of labor.
True.
All right, my producer. Listen, we can continue this because I really enjoyed this, Orlando. Because now we're getting to some interesting stuff. We had a little basketball talk for a while, but
this is great. Producer,
thanks. Thank you very much for doing this with me. I'm so sad that I did not know it was your birthday tomorrow because we would have done this in person. It would have been great.
Yeah, that would have been dope. But we'll do it another time. We'll do it another time. I have to get out there anyway.
You do. I think I owe you dinner.
Forward to it.
So that's great. So anyway, hey, everyone, thank you for listening in to the next episode of the Longhorn Way podcast. And you can find it on our website, longhorninvestments.com, or anywhere where you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Call up Longhorn, told them, let's make it rain. They said, boy, we got you, gonna do your thing.